The United States military has been killing fishermen, saying that they are drug smugglers with zero evidence, and shit has hit the fan. The reporting on this is damning. And so you have the White House blaming Hegseth blaming an admiral. The circle jerk meeting that Trump had yesterday, Hegseth and Trump, when Trump wasn't dozing off, literally sleeping through the whole thing, is blaming the admirals again. But here is some video coming straight out of the Pentagon. And the Pentagon is blaming Trump and Hegseth. Play the clip.
Can you talk about the autonomy that's given to the commanders who are carrying out these operations, like Admiral Bradley, to make decisions? Like in this case, I'm assuming the first strike took out the boat and any actions that followed. Can you talk about the autonomy they're given?
Absolutely. So the secretary has been very clear in every statement that we've released about these strikes that they are presidentially directed. And the chain of command functions as it should. And we make sure that commanders on the ground are taken, their positions are taken into account, and they are able to tell us and make decisions if they see things that need to be flagged. But at the end of the day, the secretary and the president are the ones directing these strikes. And any follow-on strikes like those which were directed by Admiral Bradley, the secretary 100% agrees with.
Okay. So here you have the Pentagon saying that these are presidentially directed strikes and that it is the president and Hegseth. The situation is the president has immunity from all of this because the Supreme Court sucks. I could give you some long intellectual reason, but the basic sentence is the Supreme Court is compromised and they suck, and they sit around and watch Fox News all the time. And also the Pentagon, you guys, like, look at what's happened to it. I mean, look at the spokesperson, no disrespect to her, but she's way over her skis on that. And then they've taken out all of the proper press because they are indiscriminately killing people.
Well, and you had Laura Loomer in the press conference. I mean, come on. Are we really here that all of these people that are just bottom feeders are in the government? But here's the thing. Hegseth has changed his story 50 times about this because he knows his ass is in a sling on it. He's the one that named the admiral. Nobody knew that. He named him because he threw him under the fucking bus. And we know Hegseth likes it because he posts videos on social media. He thirsts for these deaths.
All right. And then next up, in the cabinet meeting yesterday, they're trying so hard to rebrand Trump as, he's got so much energy and he doesn't start his days until like 10:30. It's been widely reported, leaking like crazy, that he has all of his meals in bed, that he's too infirmed to eat at a proper table. And I believe it because here he is listening to Marco Rubio. And Marco Rubio, it literally looks like he's speaking to a stroke victim that's taking a nap. Play the clip.
But this war is going on, and the president is trying to end it, not because, listen, we got a million things to focus on in the world as a country, but he's the only leader in the world that can help end it. And that's why even as we speak to you now, Steve Woodcock is in Moscow trying to find a way to end this war, to save lives of 9,000 people, Mr. President, as you know, are dying every week. More people.
Okay. The optics of that are just so incredibly bad that he's sitting there saying the only person that can end that is the guy sitting next to him who has droopy stroke victim affect and he's completely asleep. And saying that Witkoff wants to end the war to prevent killing is so divorced from the truth. Witkoff is a Russian asset and he wants to do favors with Russia. And he's so short-sighted in this because if he thinks the Russians are going to honor these business transactions with Americans, they are short-sighted, stupid idiots. The Russians will throw them out of windows. Look no further than what happened to Alex Navalny. Look at all of the oligarchs, which Putin has killed. This is the final piece of Putin's long over a decade-long psychological war that he started against the United States of America. Trump has zero interest in offering a counter to this because Putin has compromat on him. He has compromising information on him. And then you've got Jared Kushner, the son-in-law of Kanks, over there with Witkoff, and they are doing the Russians are shaking them down. They are shaking them down, and these guys are so arrogant and are full of so much hubris. They think that they've got this deal. They think they're actually negotiating with the Russians. They don't realize they're getting played, and they are taking the post-World War II alliances with Western Europe and the United States and flushing it down the toilet. I'm sure in Brussels right now, there is a massive, massive freak out.
Well, there should be. There absolutely should be. I thought the interesting part was you have Hegseth on one side killing people just with reckless abandon and likes it. I mean, he snorts it like it's cocaine. And you have Marco Rubio talking about how President Trump is ending wars because he's saving lives. I'm like, you talk out of both sides of your mouth at the exact same time, and the guy that's in charge is fucking asleep and drooling in the middle.
It's a great point. All right, moving along. This is just really stunning. Put this tweet and retweet up. So here's the Kiev Post, and they tweet, Trump's envoy, Steve Witkoff, who we all know is a Russian asset, his son-in-law, Jared Kushner, who we all know is a prostitute for Saudi, a prostitute for Russia, absolutely has no backbone whatsoever. He's already made $2 billion off the Saudis, and that's not enough. He has to make sure he destroys American democracy. And representatives of China's foreign ministry have already arrived at the Kremlin. Authoritarian expert and our friend Ruth Ben-Ghiat says it's all related, people. Mr. Quote, defeat the radical left in America is allied with Chinese communists and Russians who are rehabilitating Stalin. And this is just such stunning developments that the national security Republicans are continually abdicating their power. And I'm going to say this, I think the entire Republican Party is compromised by Russia. If you think back to the tape, there was a tape about 10 years ago that came out. Kevin McCarthy and Paul Ryan speaking, they didn't know that somebody was secretly taping them, saying that Donald Trump was for sure on Putin's payroll. And there was another, I forget the guy's name, he was a congressman from California, and he's no longer in Congress anymore. They were talking about how many of their coworkers were on Putin's payroll. And since that time, we know that Putin has radicalized even more people. And you have the whole podcasting right arm media ecosystem who completely tout Russian propaganda talking points, many of whom receive funds from Russia. We've recently discovered on Elon Musk's free speech website that all of these MAGA accounts that espouse all of these pro-Russian talking points wrapped up as MAGA patriotism, they're all Russian bots or in other countries controlled by Russian bot farms. So this is just such a stunning development. And I don't think it's just Trump that's compromised by Russia. I think Putin has built an entire network of people that are compromised. And you have people like Jack Posobiec, who is in the White House press poll. He's a real whack job MAGA conspiracy theorist. And he said after Trump won, he went to a speech and he said, welcome to the end of democracy. So it's not just that Putin wants to end American democracy. He has Americans that have American power and have their hands on the levers that want to end American democracy. But they're so fucking stupid because Putin will F them over just like he does Russians. And I think he'll give it to the Americans even harder.
Look no further than Putin putting nude pictures of Melania on state-run TV. You know, that's the respect level he has. And what's interesting is you have Tucker Carlson, who went over there. Remember, he did this glossy documentary. Justin Trudeau testified in a deposition. He was part of the Russian media. This is long overdue. And you go to these MAGA rallies and you see people say, oh, we'd much rather have Putin as the president than Joe Biden. That's the mainstream Republican Party. They're in on a dictator.
Well, because they've been propagandized. When Putin started the psychological warfare via social media, bot accounts on Facebook, on social media, he has really started to win this. And they've done studies that you can tell that people, once you get in an algorithm, that doesn't take very long for people to get radicalized, and they program the algorithms as such. And the Kremlin has done that with Americans. Think about Trump's entire campaign. We have to destroy the enemy from within. And that aligns with what Putin wants to destroy, which is democracy, freedom, and, all of the things that national security. These are all of the things that Republicans used to hold dear, but they've all been radicalized. I think the whole Republican Party is compromised. And if there are any that aren't, they surely are not speaking out very clearly. I mean, maybe a little bit of Mitch McConnell, when he's not mini stroking, he'll say something, and a couple of others, but the silence across the board is deafening as you see this horrible alliance between the United States, China, and Russia. And I just have to throw a couple of things in from the Circle Jerk meeting. I have always been fascinated at how Republicans don't understand weather and climate. So we used to have this senator in Oklahoma. His name was James Inhofe, and he was in the Senate for years and years and years. I mean, like decades after decades. He's a total fucking nut, right? And he went on the Senate floor, and it was snowing in Washington, D.C. And he got a snowball, and he went on the Senate floor, and he's like, there's global warming isn't real. I just got this snowball right outside. Clearly doesn't understand the difference between climate and weather. And now here it's gotten even worse. Here's Kristi Noem. She doesn't understand weather. And she said this, and there were cameras in there and they recorded it. And she said this to the president of the United States, and everybody thinks this is just normal. Play the clip.
Hard doing security, and they have been absolutely fantastic. Sir, you made it through hurricane season without a hurricane. Yeah. And so FEMA, you kept the hurricanes away. So. And FEMA is deploying resources and dollars 150% faster than ever before. So somebody does have something bad that happens to them, you are immediately there helping them and telling them.
That's such chicken shit. If it's a blue state, he won't send anything. They're just all they're all so full of shit, blowing smoke up that moron's ass. And it's on tape, pumps. That's going to follow them forever. It's forever.
Can you imagine saying, you kept the hurricanes away? Thank you. Like he has anything to do with it.
They think that Democrats were like cloud seed, like doing all this shit. It's just, oh my God, they're crazy. Okay. And then finally, here's some more Kristi Noem insanity. This person is so breathtakingly dumb. I cannot believe that she has the job that she has. Play the clip.
Saved hundreds of millions of lives with the cocaine you've blown up in the Caribbean.
Okay. First of all, he's not blown up any cocaine in the Caribbean.
Fisherman.
Secondly, he just pardoned a massive cocaine dealer that brought in tons and tons and tons and tons of blow to the United States of America, and he pardoned him. He doesn't give a shit about drugs. The rumors are that when he was on The Apprentice, that he snorted Adderall and snorted cocaine in the 80s. So I don't know if that's true or not. I just read it on Elon Musk's First Amendment website. But I just think it's such bullshit. Like Pump said, they talk about, we're going to save lives, and then they talk about killing, and they're talking about blowing up drugs, and then he's pardoning drug dealers. These people are objectively stupid. We cannot have mainstream news organizations that put both of these sides on the same playing field. Like if somebody is defending the stroke victim that is asleep while Marco Rubio is talking about what a badass he is and he's so strong, and people aren't objectively saying, this man is clearly on his deathbed. We just shouldn't be having these conversations, because the gaslighting and the constant propaganda abuse that comes from these sycophants is exhausting, it's toxic, and it's dangerous, and I've had it.
They did a fact check just on this cabinet meeting on one of the news organizations, and they gloss over it like, he told over 35 lies. It's like, these are important. This is important. When somebody says in a cabinet meeting, you kept the hurricanes away, we objectively know that that is bullshit across the board. It's unbelievable. And he was still stumping for the Nobel Peace Prize, which, why don't they give him one for no hurricanes?
It's so insane. It's so insane that we even have to have the conversation about this stroke victim with dementia that falls asleep all the time, that is mad that he didn't get a trophy. And this is the political party that's like, everybody thinks they should get a participation trophy and blah, blah, blah. These are the biggest whining titty baby snowflakes. And here's the thing, like, that's their ideal masculine man. And that tells you everything you need to know about MAGA's vision of masculinity and why they project it onto the world in such a toxic, distorted way. All right, that's all we have. Buy our book. It's a great little stocking stuffer. It's called Life is a Lazy Susan of Shit Sandwiches. It's a great way to support our show. It's linked right below in the show notes. And subscribe. A lot of you watch, but you don't subscribe. So subscribe and comment and like the video, and we'll be back later with more news.